All right. Good morning. And I hope that you guys, unfortunately, I didn't send the video on time, but I was able to send week 3 and week 4 video last night. But you haven't missed anything. You can always go back and watch it, but the rest assured that we are definitely going to go through the exam. I'm not going to let you down on that one. I will definitely go practice the exam. And I think you will also gain, and all the things we've been learning will kind of make sense. But today, we have a different brand new topic, and it's going to be KM audit. KM audit, knowledge audit is very, very critical for every organization, and especially for uh, uh, those who are going to be knowledge managers, who are going to be in charge of the knowledge management program in their own organization. So the first thing you will do when you come in, maybe after getting yourself acclimated with the work environment, the next thing you will do is to gauge the temperature, of the knowledge management program. You want to gauge where things are. Where are they in the movie, in their knowledge management journey? Where is the organization? Are they operating at the full capability? Are they where they are supposed to be? Are they even a KM organization? So you just want to gauge them. So knowledge audit or knowledge management audit is where you kind of assess those things. And also there are organizational knowledge management audit, and also there is knowledge audit, which is auditing an individual's capability in terms of their understanding of what KM is, and also where their agency is in terms of KM. So, that said, we are going to be going through these are the 5 topics we're going to be talking about today. The first one, we're going to look at the KM audit processes. What is that? How is that done? So we're going to look at the process of knowledge management audit. Okay. Then we're going to look at the Boston's box. It's called there's a Boston Consulting Group Metrix. This is how you measure your strategy. You also measure the level of knowledge management capability within an organization, or even how you can leverage it. So you measure, we're going to look at the quad chat or the quadrant, but please, this is just for you to learn the technical aspect of KM, uh, and how KM can be measured, and also for you as a KM practitioner to feel comfortable and speak the language. So we're going to, tie all this together, and then we're going to be looking at the principal components of KM audit. What makes up KM audit? We're going to dive into that, and also we're going to look at strategic knowledge strategic gap analysis, and then we'll conclude with the output of a knowledge audit. So when the knowledge audit is done, what is the report? How does the report look like? What does it look like? So we're going to look at that, but that said, let's quickly let me hold on. Let me see if there's anyone in the waiting room. But let's go quickly into the definition of knowledge audit. So, what is knowledge audit? So, a knowledge audit, or K audit, as most KM practitioners call it, is basically a systemic examination and evaluation of an organizational knowledge held. So just what I said earlier, which looks at whether knowledge is exploited when needed. Now, it also an analysis of organization's knowledge need. So not only that it looks at the health of the agency or organization in terms of their knowledge capacity, it's also looking at their need, the existent knowledge asset. Where are those resources? Where are they? Where do they reside? And that's when knowledge map comes into play. So you're looking at the knowledge flow, you're looking at the knowledge needs, you're looking at the knowledge gap, and also you're looking at the behavior of the people. What is their culture when it comes to knowledge management and sharing? So when you're talking about a culture, you're thinking about the knowledge sharing culture of the organization, how or the knowledge, the creating of knowledge as well. So uh, in I said everything that I said to let you know that the transformation. So to transform an organization into a learning and development organization, and also for you to ensure that knowledge is effectively managed, strategically as well. Knowledge audit is should be conducted. So when you step in, you want to look at um, uh, uh, is this a learning organization? You know, have they gotten to the capacity that they should get to? You know, what is their knowledge management strategy? What does it look like? So when you ask all these questions, then you need to, for you to get the answer, you have to conduct a knowledge audit. So that will help you, to provide you with the current state of the knowledge capability of that particular organization, and also to direct you to where you need to go in terms of how to improve if they are not where they are or where they should be. When you do the knowledge audit, it's going to show you now, this is what we need to do. So we are here, we are at point B, or we are at point A, but we need to get to point B. So the survey, the knowledge audit you do should help you get there. And the whole reason why this is essential is for you to have a competitive advantage as an organization. All right. So a knowledge audit is basically a review of where an organization is, and you take a stock of what the organization knows, who has important information, and how easily can people find and share knowledge. So it's like you're checking what you already have in your kitchen now, right? And you go shopping. So you know what is missing, what's an extra item that you probably have, and what could you have so that you're better organized, your kitchen is better organized. So this helps an organization spot gap, avoid losing important know-how, and make smarter decision in the future. Okay. So let me give you an example. So let's say you are at work now as a manager, and your upper management asks you to, you know, uh, to look at what tools that is needed, or how certain documents should be used, or how some processes should be, placed, or where, if you have a shared drive, where are those documents, where are those things put? So knowledge audit is what helps you address those information, those tasks. All right. So when you finish, the upper management can now see, okay, so these are the people that we are missing, because now you're unable to find this particular thing. So we are missing people here. So we are missing resources here. So it helps you as an organization, or it's helping an organization to better manage their knowledge assets, or to better strategize on where they need to be. Any question? Okay. So I talked about the Boston box, or so if this is your first time hearing this, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal, but it just helps you, um you know uh in terms of KM, to show if you're actually growing as a KM person. So it's all about growth metrics. But so how do you improve? So this is what this boxing box is all about. It just helps people to improve. It helps people to better where they are from where they are. So that's the reason why I think the Boston box or the BCG metrics is important and is also relevant to KM, because as a KM practitioner, you want to improve. That's basically it. You're there to solve problem. You were hired to solve problem. So you have to put it in your mind that, okay, I'm hired. The reason why they are going to give you a job that pays $100,000 or $200,000 is because you are going to be solving problem. And you need to know how to ask the right question in order to solve problems. So that's why it's important. So I just wanted to share. So people might say, why are we learning Boston Box or BCG metrics or you know, the Boston's metrics. It's just a way to improve. Okay. So now let's look at this. For those that this is your first time of, hearing the Boston box or the BCG metrics. So this is a chart that was created by some guy called, or a consultant called Bruce D. So Henderson. So Bruce D used to work for the Boston Consulting Group in 1970. So, and in short, they call this thing the BCG metrics. It's also known as the Boston or the growth share metrics. So it provides a framework for analyzing product according to growth and market share. So it's used to help companies to gain insight on what products best help them capitalize market share growth opportunity. So basically, it's just what I'm saying. So this, something that helps you improve. It's all about improvement. So how do you improve? You need strategy on how to improve. You need to understand what to improve upon. So you need to gauge the market and say, okay, if we do it this way, you see, I put a question mark on one of the quadrant, and I put a star, and I put a dog and also a cow, with a dollar sign. So on the other side, the growth, is asking. So where the question sign, you see the question sign on the right, your left hand side, it says market growth. So where do you need to grow? So, and then the other one, on the bottom is the arrow pointing the other way, shows the relative market share. So where do you need to grow? So there's a large market. So, but where do you need to gain the chunk of the market in order for you to grow, to sell? So what is this Boston box and how is it relevant to KM? Okay. Basically, it helps organization to categorize and prioritize their knowledge assets in a very simple way. So number one, see all those grammar that I spoke. In terms of KM, it will help you as a KM practitioner to be able to categorize and prioritize your knowledge assets. So who are those key knowledge management practitioners? Who are those key knowledge assets within your organization? Okay, so this will help you identify them and then prioritize them so that you can gain a strategic value. How do you do that? By assessing knowledge based on factors such as number one, what is the current usefulness of knowledge asset or knowledge within the organization? What's the current usefulness of it? So basically, that is the one, you see the bottom line, market share. So the usefulness here is market share. Okay. So when you hear usefulness, so as I'm going to be talking about this, when I hear usefulness, knowledge usefulness, so I'm talking about the current usefulness of knowledge base. Okay. So you're looking at the market share. All right. So market share is relative to the Boston metric. So I'm trying to tie the relevance of this to knowledge management. Okay. So an organization can identify which knowledge area to invest in. They can develop, they can maintain, and ultimately they can also eliminate the ones that are not relevant. You can phase it out. Okay. So this approach allows for a better decision making. All right. So when you see this, it kind of gives you a visual, okay, on how to manage your knowledge portfolios and also align your resources with a high impact knowledge area. All right. So this is going to ultimately help the organizations to support your future strategy. So whatever strategy you have that is, that you plan at, you're trying to plan ahead, is going to help with knowledge sharing activities and also knowledge development. So let's dig a little deeper into this. Let's look at what those questions. You see the question mark, the red question mark. You see the dog. You see the you can put it as a pet. Okay. You see, the star, and also you see the cash cow, right? So let's dig deeper into this. Now, you see all the four quadrants. So the up one, number one, is the question sign that you saw. The number three, is the pet or the dog. Remember? Number two is the star, and number four is the cash cow. So let's just take this. So if you look at this, I try to make it a little bit simpler. So I said, what number one is all about what we know. We know. Okay. What we know. We know. So what an organization know that they know. So that's, what is that? So the emphasis here is on knowledge sharing, knowledge access, knowledge inventory. So you're looking at, things like benchmarking and community of practice. Remember, we talked about community of practice, and if you don't understand anything like community of practice or anything that I've been using, please always ask me questions, because you need to be comfortable using this during your interview. You know, you can be successful in that interview by just throwing out, those lingos, you know, those professional lingos. You need to, so community of practice, a group of people that share ideas, that share, best practices together. All right. So that is it. What we know, we know. So pay attention to that. So the first quadrant asks what the available knowledge resources, such as, explicit knowledge resources, you're looking at also looking at expertise, within your organization. And when you think about expertise, always think about tacit knowledge resources. Okay. So in other words, the core competencies of the organization. I don't know if you remember last time I said when organizations are being bought over, if Facebook bought WhatsApp or Meta bought WhatsApp and probably Instagram, if, you might not know this, but they had to retain some of the key experts so that it will help them, run faster. Okay, it will help them, retain their validity or value within the market, because you don't want to just buy off a company and then fire everybody. You're losing a lot of the knowledge resources. So that's what happens in this case. So those are the people that have tacit knowledge, or quite frankly, the people that develop the tool that they are buying. They will have to retain them. Even when Elon Musk bought over um, Twitter, now that he calls it a what does he call it now? I'm not on that, so I'm not on that. Uh,
X.
X, yes, thank you. He calls it X. I'm not on that. Um, he had to retain certain people, but as soon as he was able to transfer all the knowledge from them, he got rid of a lot of them when he felt, oh, you are not useful. But those that are still useful to him, he still retains and pays them big bucks. So number two, let's look at the third quadrant. Okay. So the third quadrant addresses the unexploited, knowledge, right? Like the knowledge capital repository. Like you have a knowledge base where people just dump. It's like a knowledge dump, you know, and these are typically hidden and they are not, you can say, undercapitalized knowledge. They don't leverage it for learning and use it for best practice, nothing. So this actually emphasizes on uncovering the tacit knowledge, that those expertise. There are certain untapped knowledge. People are in your organization. There are people in any of us that work now. Remember, there are people in your organization that they never get to them. But these people are, when you speak to them one on one, maybe in a water cooler gathering, you realize, oh my God, this person knows a lot of their stuff. But those people are not known. And some people they call what do they call them? Geeks. Some of them are very reserved. You have to bring this thing out of them. Okay. So you're uncovering those hidden knowledge. All right. So how do you do that? Now, you see, knowledge audit is part of it. So I hope you guys are paying attention to the third quadrant. You see, knowledge audit is there. Knowledge mapping. Knowledge mapping is where you now, try to link those knowledge assets. Okay, you're talking about training, and also you're talking about networking. Now, let's talk about the second quadrant, the one on the top right. All right. So this addresses the um, organizational learning, general organizational learning. It wants to, basically seeks to position the organization to be able to execute their strategic plan. So remember, we talked about strategy last time, so for you to be able to execute your strategic plan, you have to put emphasis on this. You're looking at things like you do market research. You want to something they call competitive intelligence, research and development. You want to search what is happening outside. What is there? How can we leverage what is outside? What other competitors are doing? Okay, so in terms of government establishment, so I have to talk about what I know. Now you have to look at best practices. Okay. What is the best way to do something? And remember, never reinvent the wheel. If there is already something that is working, what about other knowledge organizations? You leverage what they have. All right. So, and that you're talking about what we know we don't know. Okay. So now you're looking at it that what organization know that they don't know. There are certain things the organization know that they basically don't know. How do you know those things? What type of tools do you use? Market research, research and development, and you're looking at competitive intelligence. So let's look at the last one. The last one talks about what we don't know. We don't know. All right. So this basically is talking about the blind spot of hidden opportunities and threat that may not be as yet apparent within the organizations, within the leadership don't know this yet. Okay. So you're looking at key risk. You're looking at, how do we expose, ourselves to be able to be competitive as well? What are the opportunities that we have there? What do you use for this? Okay. Knowledge audit is also important for this. Also, creative tension. So you're looking at dilemma, what is the, how do I bring out my best problem solving ability. So so this is a different level. At the executive level, they are looking at this. Okay, what are the risks in for us not to get this? What are we facing? What can we do to better ourselves? So basically, that is we might go deeper into this, but um subsequent in our subsequent discussion. But I just wanted you to have an idea of how you can use the Boston box, or the Boston quadrant. Some people call it, the BCG or metrics, to understand how you can better improve. Okay, how you can better improve. All right. So, um, any question? Any question? So you're looking at number one, the top one, what we know, we know. This is what you already have. All right. What you already have, the best practices. And, when you're talking about best practice, I want you to know this. So there hasn't been any agreed upon standard. Okay. If you go on an interview, please, please, when you go on an interview, and I'm going to share with you the ISO standard, okay? Um, Standard for knowledge management, but that is basically for knowledge management system requirement. Okay. And we're going to go into that as well when we're talking about standard, knowledge management standard. But when you see me teaching you on knowledge management standard, please know that there is not an agreed upon standard in the KN community. So always default to best practices. So when they ask you during an interview and they say, hey, what is the KM standard? For them to know that you know what you're talking about, you just tell them, well, we use best practices. We use best practice in KM community. We use best practices, and the only standard that is basically the ISO three. I think it's 3401. ISO 3401. Yeah. ISO, International Standard Organization. International Standard Organization 3401. It was developed in 2018. Basically, that's a standard for knowledge management systems requirements. So there's a standard on how you're supposed to build a KM system for it to be referred to as a knowledge management system. And that standard is met by the knowledge lab. The knowledge lab that I showed with you, that we are using the virtual lab. That meets the standard. So there are certain standard for you to meet. But when you hear, they might try to trick you into asking you, what is a can you tell us any knowledge management standard? There hasn't been any agreed upon KM standard. And the problem is that in Australia, in UK, here in the US, and especially here in the US, people don't want to agree on something. And some people, quite frankly, will ask you, why do we have to? There's this guy that has a PhD in uh, uh, knowledge management. And then we were talking about, the need for someone to get certified, and he has his PhD, and also he has other certification. And then he was asking me directly, he said, okay, so why do I need to get certified? I already have a PhD. The reason why you get certified is for you to prove that you are actually competent. So there's a difference between education, there's a difference between training. Okay, so education is a long term, training is just a short term. And also there are different curriculums for what you really want to learn. Okay. And also You want for you to get certified shows that you are an expert in a particular field of the profession. Okay. So yeah, the reason you go to college to learn a little bit about everything. So of course, I'm a college professor. I know that all the textbooks that you have, there's no way you can cover the entire thing, you know. So, but you can take, you know, one aspect of the topic and learn and say, okay, this is what I need to take away from this particular topic. What is the concept? Okay. So, yeah, the language I'm looking for is concept. Okay. Learning the concept as a certified knowledge manager, you learn the concept of the entire a profession or entire subject matter. I'm a PMP certified. For me to pass the PMP exam, I had to default because it was a tough exam. I had to default into, I asked the guy who did a boot camp, and I'm like, can you share with me the concept? What do I need to learn about this PMP, project management? What are the things? So you have to learn, the phases of project management. You have to understand that those phases, and even within the phases, each phase, there are certain things that you have to learn. So I was able to get, learn some of those things, you know, and I'm not afraid, I'm not ashamed to share with you that I have a doctorate in business. In my PMP exam, I didn't focus so much on the business because I'm like, okay, I think I understand the business part. And that was the one that I scored lowest. Of course, I passed my exam, but I scored lowest on the business aspect because I was like, just show me the concept of this entire thing. So if someone asks, why do I have to get certified? After all, I'm a PhD in this. It's all about the competence. There are certain things, the concept that you need to understand. Okay, so learn how to, speak the language, learn, how to throw, what are the jargons that is spoken within the community. What, those things. Do you understand what a knowledge management system is? All right. What are the requirements for a typical KM system? What should we have? And you as a KM practitioner, or when you get hired, you're going to be the consultant, and they will rely on you to tell them, okay, what is the best practice? What am I supposed to as an organization, what are we supposed to do in terms of knowledge? You will be the consultant. They will rely on you on a whole lot when it comes to knowledge management, when it comes to problem solving, they will rely on you. So you want to make sure that you step up and you know the language, you know what you're supposed to be saying, you know the jargons. Basically, if you know those things, that is how you know you excel. And you don't have to know a whole lot about the subject matter, but just know a little bit about it. And they ask you, okay, can you tell us about this? Okay, okay, I'm familiar with it. You can say, I am familiar with this. And in every interview, I want you to understand that. So this is just an extra, tidbit for you guys. In every interview, so you might not know the depth and the breadth of a particular subject matter, but you just know it, right? You have an idea of it. And in order for you not to lie, and they ask you, hey, can you tell us about this? Do you know what's your understanding of this particular tool? You can start off by saying, yes, thank you, but I'm familiar with this tool. You see, when you say I'm familiar with this tool, the person that is interviewing you just writing down something. They're just writing. They don't have time to start, oh, does he know it or not? But you say, I'm familiar with this tool. And then you say what you know about it, about that particular tool. That should gain you, some point. That should gain you some point. All right. So you have to learn how, these people deal with people, what they are trying to find out. All right. So you can always use the Boston box or the quadrant for you to know where you need to improve. You're asking questions, knowing the right questions to ask. As a KM practitioner, what are the right questions? Do you know the right question to ask? What are the questions that you need to ask, right? The first one is when you're trying to, access it, the knowledge is what we know that we know. Understand what is it that you know as an organization that you know? Where are you currently now? Where are you currently now? Right? You're looking at the community of practice. Now, the other one, the third quadrant, the bottom left, is talking about what we don't know, we know. There are certain things that you don't know, an organization don't know that they know. Okay? You're looking at there are certain people, certain expertise within your organization that quite frankly, nobody talks to them. No, but these are knowledge assets. These are experts that can help you. For instance, uh, uh, the reason why people have the expertise locator is basically because there are people within your organization that instead of you hiring from outside, you need to hire someone from outside, but you don't know that you already have the resources. That is why you set up a knowledge expertise locators. You set that up. It could be a tool. It's like a yellow page. It's like a resource, a point of contact sheet where you now go, but you automate it, right? So there are certain things that you don't know. How do you do that? The common denominator with all these quadrants, what we know we don't know, what we know we don't know, all right? What we don't know we know, and also what we don't know we don't know is all about there's a common denominator. If you look at the first one, right? The second one, the third one, all of it is all about doing audit, you know? See, you're going to do some type of market research. You're trying to find out something. Here, you're trying to find out something, right? Even when you're taking an inventory, you're trying to find out something. How many people are those people, knowledge that we have, those experts that we have. Here, you're also doing audit. You see, there's something here. It's all about finding something. You're asking the right question in order for you to find something. You're finding something. You're looking for something, right? So, and if you look at a larger part of this quadrant, on the left-hand side, going up is all about knowledge awareness. You see, knowledge awareness. You're trying to create awareness. You see, what we don't know, we know. What we know, we know. What we don't know, we know. Knowledge awareness, right? Now, you're looking at here, what we don't know, we know. And what we don't know, we don't know. It's all about the content. All right. Please, I know sometimes it could be confused. The first time I came into the Boston quadrant, Boston box, or whatever they call it, it was confusing a little bit to me, in trying to tie it to KM. But please make it as simple as you may have it. All right, so let me stop here and open it up for question. Please ask any question before we have 3 minutes before we go on break. Any question at all on what we've talked about today. So any question at all? Any question at all? Any question? All right. So, well, I will let me just recap. Let me just recap what we've talked about today. Let me just recap what we've talked about today. So for those who are just joining us today, we these are the topics we are going to be learning today. The KM audit process. We just talked about the Boston box. Okay. So when we come back from the break, we are going to be going into the principal components of knowledge audit and knowledge strategic gap analysis, and then we'll conclude with what comes out of knowledge management audit. What is it that comes out of it? All right. So when we come back from the break, we are going to learn all those things. Just hang tight. It's becoming very interesting. And when we start reviewing all the questions, the practice question, exam questions, you will kind of appreciate what we've been learning all this while. So you see the red question mark, so this here, the market growth is all about knowledge awareness, okay? The market growth is all about knowledge awareness. When you hear knowledge awareness, see the question mark and the dog or the pet, the star and the cash cow. It's about relative market share, okay? Market share. Now, see, we talked about this in depth. Please understand this. It's not that, too complex. I hope I didn't make it too complex. I tried to make it a little bit easier for us to understand. So it's all about knowledge awareness, and the content. So I'm going to stop here for you guys to take a 15 minutes break and come back. um, All right, welcome back. Sorry for that glitch. We're going to go into the principal components of knowledge audit. Okay, so knowledge audits has certain components. We're going to look at these four critical components. So number one is knowledge need analysis. Okay, when you're doing knowledge audit, there are components. There are certain things that the core components that you have to look at, because when you get hired, you are definitely going to do a knowledge audit. If you have to be comfortable with it. So the first one you do is knowledge needs analysis. The second one is knowledge inventory analysis. The third one is knowledge flow analysis. And then the popular one that you guys have been hearing all this while is knowledge mapping. And we're going to take each of them one after the other. Okay, please, if you guys don't mind, we're going to go we're going to try to finish quickly today. But I just want you to learn the concept, okay? What are the concepts? What do you need to know today? Okay, what is it? Just try to say, for this lesson today, this is what I'm going to take out of it. This is what I'm going to learn. So we're going to learn what are the components of knowledge audits. Number one is knowledge needs analysis, knowledge inventory analysis, knowledge flow analysis, and knowledge mapping. So what is knowledge needs analysis? This helps you as a knowledge worker. It helps you to be able to, better develop a future strategy. All right. For you to be able to organize yourself. All right. For you to be able to figure out what knowledge an organization needs in the future so that you're able to make a better plan. Okay. So that is what that is talking about in a nutshell. But we're going to go in depth into that in a moment. So what is knowledge inventory? Basically, you're taking stock. You're taking everyone knows what an inventory is. What is it that you say an inventory is? It's about taking stock to identify and locate your knowledge, assets, and resources throughout your organization. So it's like making a list, right? You just make a list of those knowledge and expertise that exist within the organization. And also you're trying to find, okay, where can I find them? You're brand new in that organization. You have no idea where those things are. It's even going to help you as a KM practitioner to locate where those things are, right? So knowledge flow analysis, what is knowledge flow analysis? The third one, is about how knowledge resources moves around, right? So from where it is to where they are needed, right? So knowledge flow analysis checks how the knowledge moves from one person or from one team member to another, making sure that the right people get the information when they need it. Okay, so let's talk about the last one, which is knowledge mapping. So knowledge mapping portrays the source, the flow, the constraint. It just shows you like, the typical map. Okay. It shows you, where, are we losing knowledge, right? Where is the stop point within the organization where, okay, it just shows you strategically how those knowledge are linked together. Okay. So where does it come from? Where does knowledge come from? How is that knowledge shared? Where do you think it's getting stuck? That there's a stovepipe or there's a bottleneck where you can access knowledge. You can seem to pass knowledge through. And, where is it being lost within the organization? Where is knowledge being lost within the organization? So let's take it one after the other. What is that knowledge needs analysis? What do you need? So this is what I want you to take away from knowledge needs analysis. This is what you want to know. So now, knowledge needs analysis can help any organization to develop its future strategy. For you to be able to develop your strategy, you need to do a needs analysis. It's like doing a training needs analysis. Where do you need knowledge? So the major goal of this is to identify precisely what knowledge the organizations, its people, and the team possesses. Where are all those knowledge? Where is the body buried, basically, for lack of a better term? Where are all those knowledge? Okay. So what knowledge would they require in the future in order to meet their goals and objective? What do they need? All right. So basically, that's what that is in a nutshell. Okay. Now, knowledge inventory. So this is, like I said, is about taking stock to identify and locate knowledge, assets, and resources throughout the entire organization. So this process involves one, counting. You're literally counting. Okay, you're indexing, you're tagging. Okay, you're categorizing. All right. So when you're categorizing, you're really thinking of that, both the tax rate, the corporate tax rate, and also the explicit knowledge. By now, I know you guys should be comfortable with understanding what tax rate and explicit knowledge is. Okay. So knowledge inventory, also looks at two things. Okay. It looks at two things. Number one, explicit. Okay, it looks at the physical knowledge, which is explicit knowledge inventory. You do the explicit knowledge inventory, and also you're looking at who are the corporate experts, who are the go-to person. So you as a KM practitioner, you're looking at, well, this person is the person to go to when it comes to this. All right? And remember, we talked about, are they retiring? Sorry, not that would be for the tacit knowledge. They're looking at the experts, right? Okay, so the tacit knowledge is all about the expert. You're looking at those that are trying to retire, those that already know what they know. Okay, within the organization, how do you leverage them? All right. So the third one is the knowledge flow analysis, which looks at how knowledge resources move around, right? From where it is to where it needs to be. The analysis of people, processes, and systems. Now you're looking at the whole concept, right? You're looking at people, you're looking at processes, you're looking at the tools that are available. So, for instance, the analysis of people, you're looking at their attitude, right? Their cultural behavior, what is their knowledge culture, right? So what kind of skills and knowledge, how do they share knowledge? How is their habit, behavior in sharing knowledge? Are they knowledge hoarders? Do they try to hoard knowledge, right? So you're looking at that. How do they disseminate, information within the organization? How do they share knowledge? How do they use knowledge? What is the process that they use to analyze knowledge? Now you can say, their daily work, each time they come to work, how do they share knowledge? Are they open to sharing knowledge, or quite frankly, they are the ones that hoard it? They don't care about sharing knowledge. So you're looking at systems as well. You're examining, what is the, technical infrastructure like? For example, the information technology system. What type of portals do they have? What type of content management system do they have? What type of collaboration system or collaborative system do they have? How easy is it to use those systems? What is the current level of usage? You can even go through all the website. Most website now can analyze how many people log into it, the time they log in, and how many times they download stuff within a page. So you can do all of that, and then even when you're trying to deploy a system, try to have them do like a measure of how knowledge flows as well. They can do all that. Okay, so the last one we're going to be talking about is knowledge mapping. So this basically portrays the sources, the flow, the constraint. There's something they call knowledge sink, right? Sinks, right? It talks about, what are the losses or the stopping point of knowledge within the organization. Okay, where are we losing knowledge? Where is it that maybe that bottleneck that knowledge doesn't flow better? So there are two main things approach when you're talking about knowledge mapping, right? There are two main approaches that I would like you guys to pay attention to. Now, mapping knowledge assets and resources where the map or the visual shows who are the people that holds knowledge, right? Who are the people that are creating knowledge? Who are the people that are collecting knowledge? Who are the people that are connecting,
knowledge? Who are the users, the everyday users of knowledge? Who are those people that are skeptical about the entire process or what is happening? You call them the knowledge critics, and where do you deposit or reposit your data? Okay. So the second one I would like you guys to pay attention to is the mapping knowledge flow. Okay. So where the map shows how the knowledge moves around from one person, one team to the other, right? From where it is now and where it needs to be. So we're not going to go on break. We're not going to go on break for a while. So let's just go into this to see if we can finish on time. Okay. So those are the the 4 components of knowledge um, uh, uh, audit, right? 4 components of knowledge audit. So let me refresh your mind again, right? Number 1, knowledge needs analysis. Number 2, knowledge inventory analysis. Number 3, knowledge flow analysis. And the last one is knowledge mapping. Okay. So now in knowledge audit, you have to do some gap analysis. So what is a knowledge strategic gap analysis? Basically, it helps you measure. It helps you measure things. Remember, I talked about what company knows and what they need to know and what they know they don't know and all that. We're going to go into it. So for this gap analysis, we're going to just dive into those what companies knows, what they must do, what they can do, and all that thing. We're going to take a look at them. And for the sake of the exam, just know, um, uh, how is this linked together in knowledge management? That's all. But I'm gonna help you guys get to that place. So this is all about measurement, right? You want to measure the skills, the competencies, and also how can you enhance it? All right. What are the opportunities for training? When you're talking about gap analysis, you're looking at a whole concept within the organization. What is this team spirit like? Well, how do they collaborate? Right. So these are the type of things that are, during an interview, you want to throw it out because knowledge management is all about sharing attitude. It's all about collaboration. It's all about team spirit. It's all about reward. You want to motivate the right people to be able to share knowledge. You want to motivate them. You want to make sure that they share knowledge. How do they share knowledge? If you don't motivate people, they will hoard knowledge. What is the staff relationship like? Okay. And within the pairs as well. How is that like? Now, let's take this one after the other. In doing a gap analysis, the first question you want to ask is what your company must know. What is it that they must know? What must your company know? What your company must know. Okay, you're looking at we are talking about the strategic gap analysis now. And when you're looking at what your company must know, I capitalize the must know, I'm looking at the future, right? You see here, I try to put this to make this is how I learn, right? The future. So what they must know, the future, right? What they must know, the future. You're thinking about, okay, so think about this like uh 3 questions, right? Look at it as 3 questions in order for you to understand this one, what your company must know. I want you to ask these 3 questions. Number 1, what do we need to know in order for us to win? What is the goal? So is the goal your goal? What do we need to know in order for us to win as an organization? So this is the knowledge that is required for you to execute your strategy and also win or beat the competition. For example, let's say we are baking cake. We want to bake the best cake. All right. I want to know who are our most profitable customers. Who are the people that we make money from? Who is my big spender? You know, now, how do I make my business, my baking faster? How do I make my baking service faster? And also, how do I make it even 1 cent cheaper than my rival? That is one question I want you to ask. The second question is, what do we, what do we already know? What do we already know as an organization? What do we already know? This is your reality now. This is your reality. Remember, the first one we talked about is about the goal. We are looking at about the goal. Now, this is my reality. What do we already know? So this is the knowledge that already exists inside your company. Within your company, there is already a knowledge. So your sales team, for instance, knows how to close a deal. So if you're in real estate, um, you know how to close a deal. If you're a system engineer, you know how the product works. For the system engineer, for those IT professionals that are on this training platform this morning, how does this thing work? For those in cybersecurity, they know how does it work to secure, right? Or for an accountant, for instance, what is your cost? What is the bottom line? You should be able to know all this. So you're asking the reality, where you're going, your goal. The other one, where we are now. This is what we are. This is who we are. Now, the last question that I want you to ask is, what are the gaps? That is now, remember I said a KM person is a problem solver. What is the problem? You're now tackling the problem. So you're looking at the critical knowledge. What is missing? What is missing? What is that thing that is missing? So, for example, you need to know exactly what your customer wants let's say you're producing another bakery. Your goal is to know what is it that they want. So you might own a business, you think, oh, I'm working for myself. No, ultimately you're working for your customers. If you open your shop and nobody shows up, then you're not going to make a sale and you're not going to be able to make the bill. So you're looking at, from your reality, what is the feedback you're getting from customers? You have always need to do that audit. You need to ask them what they need. That's your reality. So what is the gap? So you're looking at what your customers want, right? You're looking at what your customers want. Now they give you that, you do your audit, you do your survey, and they tell you, yeah, so that gap is the customer insight, right? They are the ones to solve the problem. So in one of my books I wrote, I realized that the best way to solve a conflict, the best way to resolve a conflict or customer complaint, in my book titled Customers Leveraging Knowledge Management for Effective Customer Service. That book is very good. Okay. And also it actually made a top 80 books to buy. Top 80 books to buy. That's my book. He made that so that book talks about the best way to solve a customer complaint is to ask the customer. That is the customer insight. If a customer comes to you with a complaint, just ask them, so what do we do to make you whole? What do we do to resolve this issue? Whatever the answer they give you, solve that solve the problem. You don't need to stress yourself. All right. So that was done in a long-term research in order to find that answer. All right. So that's some plug that I did there. Well, so in a nutshell, what a company must know It's simply the difference between the knowledge it has currently and the knowledge that the company needs in order to succeed. That's basically what knowledge strategy gap, is talking about, right? It's like looking at the list of all the missing pieces. All right, what do you have? How do we make our company more effective? How do we compete? So the goal of the analysis is basically to find these gaps in order for you to be better, in order for you to execute them, right? Okay. So that's all about what your company must know. So those three questions helps you find that. Let me make sure I'm recording. All right. So the next one is what your company knows. What your company knows. And if you see what I tried to do here, I said now, right? What your company knows now. This is your current condition. What your company knows. This is your current condition. So about knowledge. So what it knows now. What is your current condition? So think of it as that everything that is already in your organization's brain or mind. So this is not like, okay, I talked about the textbook earlier. It's not about what, the facts. It's not just about the thing you have in that textbook. It's a combination of everything, experience. It's about skill, the technical know-how, of the people that work in your team. What about your system? So you can break it down into basically two simple buckets. It's all about asking the right question, right? The first question you must ask is, what's in your people's hand? What's in your team? What do they have? What do they own now? What do they have now? Number one is the skill, and also you're talking about their experience, their talent, right? So who knows who is the expert at what? Who is the great person at who is great at what? Who is the expert? Who is the POC? Who is the go-to person? The go-to person. So some people say, okay, uh, do you have a single point of contact, a single point of failure? Is Miss Sarah in your company? Is it the only one that can fix, something when it breaks in the IT department? Okay. So, okay, Sarah is the person. Okay. When this machine breaks, go to Sarah. Sarah is going to fix it. So you're looking at how can Sarah fix those things if she is the person, the go-to person? It's experience. Sarah has that, that tacit knowledge, that, the trick, okay? That's how she does that. Remember when I talked about the baking, she flexes her hand, right? So, and how do you learn these things? From lesson learned, from past project experience, from even failures and even winning some successes that you already get. You put all these things together, and that's how this person became that expert, that skillful person. All right. So that in this organization, the customer is always complaining about this particular thing. It's always complaining about it. And I think when that happens, then you're like, okay, we need to change. So the other one is about informal, I tagged it as informal know-how, the unwritten rules and secret shortcuts, right? There are people who know how to do certain things. They have their shortcuts. They know how to do their stuff. They know how to do, they execute, right? So I was working a project, and before I got hired for that position, they've been trying to get an authority to operate for 3 years. That's what I heard. For 3 years, they've been dealing with this thing. So I'm like, okay. They said, this is what your first thing you're going to do is to help us get authority to operate, ATO. All right. So how did I get that done? I did that in 6 months. We set up a meeting. So what I did, number one, was to get all the people that helps us with the approval, and I put them on a Teams channel. I started looking for the point of contact. Who is this? So how do we get this thing approved? I went to the CISO, the people that were within the CISO thing, we gathered, I pointed out all of them. And the person that is helping us with some of the packages, I'm like, okay, you need to be on this. So what did I do? Get all the stakeholders, all the point of contact, the people that are going to help us to make sure that we are approved, that our system is certified, and we get our ATO. I put all of them. Everyone was on the same platform. It made the job a lot easier, because now when we get stuck in something, the person that is supposed to answer the question is there. I say, hey, how do we need to move this thing forward? What do we need to move this thing forward? Okay. So I was able to get this approved in 6 months because I put everybody on the same platform. And I was able, and quite frankly, before the final approval, ATO was given, although we had a conditional ATO, but before the final one was given, I actually had to go walk to people and say, hey, this is the risk we are facing if we don't get this ATO. So not only that I'm behind my computer typing, talking, I had to do a footwork and sat down with the people. And that was how we got, the success, and you also got rewarded for it. So that is how you do stuff. So your present condition, you have to know who to talk to. So they would ask you, for instance, say, the question I asked that day was, who is the person that I need to know in order to get this approved quickly? And they pointed out to the person or to people, and I went to them. They say, oh, you have to talk to Sarah, or you have to talk to, ABC as the person in charge. Now, the next one is, what is those things that are written down or saved? You're looking at documents, you're looking at, files. So, those are things like reports, plans, manual, within the organization. You're looking at data and records. So for those in the sales department or whatever, the corporate world, you're looking at sales numbers. What is in your customer's database? In the government sector, you're looking at, project logs, right? So there are things that you have to focus on, you have to pay attention. You're looking at, official instructions. How are these things done? How are you supposed to get this thing done? All right. So that long description is what you know as a company, Now, what your company can do, So in that strategic gap analysis, you're looking at the link, right? You're looking at the strategic link, right? What your company can do. So think of it as a direct result of what your company knows. So from what they already know, they are able to establish what they can do, right? So it's not knowledge in itself. It's not just the knowledge, but the action you can take because you have that knowledge. It's not just that knowledge, but what can I do? What can I do with what I already have? So in a nutshell, you're looking at, what your company, ability is in order for them to turn, knowledge into action and ultimately get a result. Okay. So it's a practical application of your knowledge. So for example, if you know your customer's biggest problem, If you know their biggest problem, maybe they are unable to find something on your website, on your page. So you can actually design your product, that in a way to solve that problem. You can. The company can do that. That's what company can do. So if you know, if you know how to build a product, your whatever your product is, you have to effectively build, construct it. You can produce a faster and a cheaper, look at, okay, what can we do in order for us to be competitive? Like you look at some gas station, you're driving around and they're like, okay, the gas is 279 somewhere. And at the other place, you see them, the same gas, the same regular gas is like 276. It's like a penny less. Trust me, some people can go and get that penny less gas station. And I'm not buying here. Okay. So what is the market trend? What does the team know? What is the market trend? You're looking at all those things. Okay. So if you know what is happening in the current trend, you can actually create a campaign that will help you, people, create awareness that people are actually aware of what your company does. So I will always go back to a sales team, right? They know what your customers buy most frequently. They know what your customers buy. So what happens? You as a KM person can now focus them on, okay, direct them to the best deal. Okay. So those deals are now, look at Amazon platform, how they are set up. They showcase those things that are trending, and they will suggest to you and say, hey, they will use AI and say, these are the things that are most people are buying. And even when you buy this, they say, oh, hey, by the way, the customer that bought this also bought ABC. Those are how you get people stuck in making purchases. All right. So another questions, that I want you to ask, or in kind of understanding the differences between what your organization know and what they can do. Remember, in order for them to do what they can do, they have to understand what they use, what they know in order to do those things. So what they know, what is the difference between what your company know and what they can do? It's about the information. It's about, the file, the product, and see that as practically what they have. This is who we are right now. And then for what they can do, you're using that thing that in order to accomplish what you know. You have to move it forward. So in a gap analysis, you're looking at this as, okay, you're asking yourself, our capability is strong enough, in order for us to execute and also ultimately win. Everybody wants to win. So you want to be better than your competitors. You start a business, right? You started a business that, 10 other people are doing. You have to try to stand out. What is that thing that you do in order to stand out? Okay, so that's what you try to do in order to stand out, in order to win, in order to be better. Everybody's doing the same thing. What do you do in order to stand out? Now, let's go to what your company must do. What your company must do. What is it that your company must do in order to be successful or to beat the competitor? So think of it as a critical a bridge between where you are and where you want to be as an organization. So when you have those things, make sure, that you follow through on those actions. So, where is it that, you are now and where are you trying to get to? So That is what your company must do in order for them to, they set up a plan and say, okay, we want to get to this place, right? So where are they lacking? What are the lack? What are the capability gaps? Where do we need to, in order for us to get to a particular place? So what are those things that you need? What are those things that you need to fulfill? You know, what is missing? What do you need to accomplish? Right? So you're looking at those things, you're strategizing in order for you to better to beat the competitor. So you can say, well, uh, in order for me to get to this place, maybe we should start a monthly feedback section. Let's poll about 50 of our customers. Let's survey them. So, and guess what? Now we're in the days of AI. You can use AI to get all these things done, to do this, analysis as well. So, what else can you do? You can hire someone, that can train people better in order for them to meet certain things, right? All right. So, I think this is where I wanted to stop now. I need you guys to take 15 minutes break. And when we come back, we'll continue. So please take 15 minutes break. It's exactly um, 10:43. Come back at 11. So I can drink water, I can recover, and then come back. So come back at 11. So let's see if we can drive this home and run, before noon. So please take a break. Come back at 11. All right, welcome back. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good, good, good. So we've talked about the components of knowledge management audit. We've talked about the process of doing a knowledge audit. Now, let's talk about knowledge output. Okay, knowledge audit output. What does it look like? What is the result? What is the report? What does it look like when you do an audit? What is the output that comes out of that entire audit? So, the output of an audit may be presented in various ways, in so many different ways, right? So what you're looking at right now is how those things, those outputs should be represented. Number one, it can come as a knowledge inventory. It can come as a knowledge map. So you can see like, a visual schematics on how, I think I probably have like what a schematic look like, right? It could be like a formal report, like writing a formal executive report, right? A report or audit report for those in IT audit and that do cyber, maybe cloud engineer. When you do some audit, you can have a formal report, and also sometimes it can be like a framework. So there are different types of ways that you can represent a an output of a knowledge audit. Now, what is, sorry, excuse me, a knowledge inventory? We've talked about it before, right? So in a knowledge inventory, how do you represent a knowledge inventory? How does that, it can come like as simple as a spreadsheet. You can have a spreadsheet. You can put it in a spreadsheet so no one is going to reject it, or you can put it in a database. So we're talking about knowledge inventory. So how do you list those in knowledge inventories? You can put it in, number one, in a database or a spreadsheet. And though the spreadsheet now can identify different sources of information and who owns those information and who are those people using it, right? So that's how the spreadsheet is going to look like. It shows you, okay, these are the information sources. These are the people that owns it, and this is how many people or the people that are using it. So you can put that in a spreadsheet or have a database developed. Okay, so that's one output. Now, the other one is a knowledge map. Is a visual representation of your knowledge domain, right? So it depicts like this is the hierarchy. This is how, I don't know if you guys have seen the what they call the knowledge tree. There's the popular visual that shows knowledge tree, right? Shows you how those things are show how knowledge interacts with one another, how the knowledge assets are shown and stuff like that, right? The other one is the visual schematics, right? That shows the the context of knowledge, like a graph of how the different decisions are made, or it shows the graph of some of your business, the organization's business processes. So it shows, like it's called, for those in IT, it's called the rich picture of how some of your knowledge assets, or how decisions, or some of your business processes within your organization, how it's depicted, right? And then you can also have a formal report, like a regular audit report that shows each division, each branch, these are what you found in this division. This is the key findings. This is the the highlight of what we found in doing this entire thing. You can depict it by divisions, by branches, by directory. And then the last one is about the framework, right? That shows the relationship between um, uh, 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 where knowledge is stored, and also the type of knowledge that is stored in that place. Okay, now let's take this one after the other. Okay, let's take number one, knowledge inventory, right? So you're taking a knowledge inventory, what is that? What is a knowledge inventory? So I've shown you how this can be listed in a spreadsheet, right? So it's basically who knows what. It's the list that shows who knows what within the organization, within the company, amongst the team, who knows what, you know. Like I said, you're taking stock. It's like you go to your kitchen, you go to your pantry, right? Look at your company as a pantry, like in your kitchen. You see, okay, this is what we need in each of us. We have different shelvings within your kitchen. You have where you stored different things. This is where you put your spices. This is where you put your black eyed peas. Look at it as that. Okay, the knowledge inventory is, you put different things at different places. For instance, maybe I can say, okay, let my pasta be in a top shelf. All the canned tomatoes, I put it in the middle shelf, and then maybe my curry or all my spices, the little small boxes of spices. I say, okay, just put them on, all of them, lump them up in a bottom drawer. My spoon, just that's just what knowledge inventory is all about. So you're categorizing it, you're putting it in different places. So knowledge inventory does the same thing for information. Remember when I talked about that I say, okay, Sarah is the only one that can fix something in this place, right? If you need someone to fix something, oh, go to this person. Or, they know they know how to do that, right? So if you need, but where do you find that person? Go to that spreadsheet. That spreadsheet that you listed all those things. You can find Sarah there. Sarah is the one that can fix anything that you want. You can find it there. All right. So that's all you need to know about knowledge inventory. Okay. So I try to break it down. Now let's look at knowledge map. Okay. So looking at knowledge map is looking for where to find that thing. Okay. It's like where to find it guide for your company. Okay. Where do you find this? Go to that guide. This is where you find it. Right here, I try to put this together. It's like, okay, you see the top one says inventory. So under the inventory, you have a list, right? You have a list. So what is that thing? What is it? You have a list. Okay. Now look at the difference between knowledge inventory and knowledge map, right? So in the inventory, you're looking at a list. What is that thing? Is a list. Okay. But when it comes to knowledge map, you're looking at visual. You're looking at visual. You're looking at, where that thing is represented graphically, right? So now, what question does it answer? Who are the people within that list, the spreadsheet, who knows what? But that's when you're talking about inventory. But on knowledge map, where can I find it? Okay, so Sarah is the person that knows how to fix everything computer. Now, where do I find Sarah? The knowledge map is showing me like a graphical representation or a visual representation of where I have to find Sarah in that map, right? So as simple as, we talked about the pantry, going to your kitchen and you look at the pantry list. So knowledge map is all about that, like a visual, what I tagged here, a treasure map of how you can quickly find your foodstuff in a pantry, right? Okay. So let's talk about the visual schematics. So I hope I try to make it simplify it, but I hope, I did justice to it. All right. So now this is what you call the visual schematics. So I pulled this from Google. I was trying to find, how can I best represent it? This is the best one that I could find. All right. So a visual schematics is a picture of how something works. Remember, I talked about decision making, the process, business process, right? So how does that thing work? So you're using like symbols, you're using like lines, right? So uh, um, you're just trying to show. But with this symbol, you see, there are things like I showed like tennis ball, tennis racket, and there's a ball, right? It shows there. I don't know if you guys can see it clearly. So you see the tennis ball, you see the racket, all right? So on the left, on the bottom right, you see, it shows you, this is the scoring. This is how many people that are scoring. I don't know how clear it is on your device, but on the bottom right, it says, okay, oh, this is how many people scoring. Oh, this is the game. Oh, okay. So this is the scores. It shows you the scores, right? It shows you the game. It shows you the sets, how many sets they've played, how many matches they've played, right? Look at this again. This is the tennis ball and the racket. Oh, look at the shots. How many shots have the team, the players, or both the opponent? How many? Oh, okay, they've scored. Oh, how many serves? How many, backhands, how many volleys, how many, it shows you, okay, look at this, the other one, the green one shows you the tournament. So all the different tournaments, different tennis tournaments, right? And then look at the other one. The bottom left shows you, oh, what type of stadium or what type of pitch are they using? Is it clay? Is it, they call it surfaces. Is it hard or is it grass? What are, so basically that is what visual schematics is all about. It shows you now with just looking at this tennis racket and ball, you know that, oh, this is all about tennis, right? This is all about tennis. Okay, look at the principles. Look at their point, the point, the strategy they are using, the positioning, the calibration. Look, it shows you what happens in a tennis, as a whole. There are scoring, right? It shows you details about scoring. How many games, how many sets, how many matches, right? It shows you how many shots, shots. It says serves, forehand, backhand, volley. How many of those can you outline them? Oh, okay. It shows you the principles. Oh, this is the strategy they are using. Oh, this is our positioning. Each team, each person that is playing, this is their positioning. So I like, this is the best I could get in order to explain what a visual schematics is. But I hope I've been able to do justice to it. I just hope that I've been able to do justice. I don't want to complicate things, and that's why I'm using this. Please, don't. Okay, I'm glad. Okay, so I have a question. So I said, what if Sarah is a knowledge hoarder? What if Sarah hoards knowledge? How do we go about how cooperating? It goes back to incentives. So it goes back to incentive. It goes back to how in order to motivate someone, you have to show that their contribution to the agency matters. Number one, you always carry Sarah along. Don't come in the middle and say, oh, Sarah, we want you to participate and start sharing knowledge. No, from day one, always tell Sarah, share with Sarah what your strategy is, what your objective is. And number two, now reward Sarah. Try to find a way to reward Sarah for some knowledge management best practices. And sometimes have Sarah be, if Sarah is comfortable in making presentation, have Sarah share, say, make it in such a way that Sarah is highlighted as a subject matter expert for this. Make sure that everybody knows. And also share with, let Sarah come share her knowledge. Say, Sarah, you're going to be the keynote speaker. There's always something about it. Say, oh, Sarah, you're going to be the keynote speaker this week on how to provide the best IT support, because they said you're the best for this. And also, it goes back to rewarding. Try and motivate Sarah by saying, hey, this month's knowledge management practitioner, or this quarter knowledge management practitioner is Sarah. And then, find them something. You might, depending on if your agency have monies for that. I know that in my agency, we do have employee of the quarter, employee of the month, best, they have all that. And they give money. They give money for those things. So try and see if you can incentivize it. That's the only way. Not the only way, I'm sorry, I take that back. Most people can get motivated by money, and others might just be highlighting them, showing to people that they are the subject matter expert for this, and they are the person to the go-to person. I think if you do that, they will let go a little bit. So just highlight. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so let's go to the report. Right? Let's go to the other one, the formal report. So another way for you to the output of audit. Another output of audit is a formal report, writing a formal report, right? So this is what I depending on the particular, or depending on the company. So what you're listing could be different, right? So you want to have a date, you want to the audit, the areas that you audited, what did you use? So did you use let's say you're looking at the knowledge management system, the KM system. What standard did you use? The ISO 3401, the International Standard Organization for Knowledge Management System. Did you use that, or you just use a straight on best practices, right? So who is the lead auditor? Who is the team? Who did it? So you are the person. Now you're the knowledge manager, so you can put your name. All right. So who are the people you interview? You want to make sure that everyone is represented. For instance, Sarah, make sure that you audit, you ask Sarah. And they would love to have their know that they participated in this. So what are the highlights, that you want to showcase? What are those highlights? What are those things that you want to show? What did you observe? What are the things, the failures? What are the things that that they couldn't confirm in terms of KM best practices? Okay, so you're looking at this as basically a medical checkup, right? A medical checkup. You go to a doctor's office, they are looking at your health. They're checking your temperature, they are checking your blood pressure, they are checking everything. That's basically what knowledge management audit is all about. Knowledge audit is checking your temperature. What are the risks that you face? And also you make a recommendation. Or not so let me foot stomp this. When you write and when you do an audit, always have room for recommendation. Okay, always when you share your findings, always make recommendation of how they can better themselves, share the risk, what are the risks, and also make recommendation. Okay, and the other one is framework. So basically, this is a consistent structure for the audit result, right? It's like a big container, right? It's a big container. And that container, you can, within that container, you can see, oh, these are the findings. This is what we found out from this audit. Okay. Also, it's helping you make sure that, okay, nothing is missing. Okay. Especially those important knowledge, those important assets. Okay. We do have it here. These are the people that you need to go to for this. Oh, this particular place, there's, like the question that was asked, Sarah is not forthcoming with information, so there's a bottleneck, there's an opportunity here, and this is the risk. If Sarah, God forbid, something happens to Sarah, nobody knows how to do this. Remember, the next strategy you're recommending, okay, your recommendation now will be every 6 months or every 3 months or every month, meet Sarah and transfer knowledge. Okay, do knowledge transfer, or have a way to reach out to Sarah and try to find out, Sarah, please tell me all your points of contacts. Okay, Sarah, can you show me every how you were able to solve this particular problem? Please don't just show me. Can you document it? Right? Document it so that when next some customer comes with that same problem, in fact, that customer doesn't even need to call anyone. The customer can just type a simple how to solve, this problem. Okay, the customer can say, how do you solve I'm unable to access my desktop. For instance, maybe I had a password issue, reset issue. Maybe I put in so many passwords and the system locked me out, and I called Sarah. Oh, Sarah fixed it. Now, instead of Sarah just fixing it, Sarah documented how she was able to fix the problem, right? Now, you take that documentation and the same way Sarah put it, and then upload it in your knowledge base. So when somebody comes and needs to reset their password, all they need to do to follow the process that Sarah has written down. So, but how does this happen? You have to talk to Sarah about it. You have to let Sarah know that, that is important, that each time she fixes something, she needs to write it down so that when another customer comes with the same problem, sometimes they don't even have to call Sarah, but all they need to do is simply just do a search on how that was done. Voila, it's done. So Sarah, if something happens to Sarah, you already have the knowledge of how Sarah, and this is not like a routine, this is like a quick fix. It's like the best way that Sarah knows how to do this very well, how to quickly reset your password without going through all kinds of hoops. Okay, so that is that, that thing that comes up that, okay, Sarah can do this, and, she got it done in this minute. So you have to be able to, all those things that are written, you have a checklist, okay? You think of it like, okay, this audit report, this is what you need to do, okay? You think of it as a predefined checklist that you already have. So in this thing, okay, you do this, number one, okay, I don't want to miss this. These are my findings, okay? These are the important things that shouldn't be missed. This is important to put in the risk, all right? You write the risk down and you put all these things together and you have yourself a full audit report, all right? So the framework, outlines all these things. Okay, so this is it about audit. This is all you need to know about audit, KM audit. Um, I the process I used was trying to make it as simple as I can. You don't need all the technical lingos for now, but when you get the job, you can start learning some of these things yourself. You can start